Welcome to the 3 Life Lessons podcast, where I, Rob Hubbard, talk to renowned figures from learning and development to uncover the secrets to their success and find out what makes them tick. Remember to like, subscribe and follow to ensure that you never miss an episode. Now, my guest here today has worked in diversity and inclusion at the highest levels for well over a decade. Now, this includes global consultancies, charities that you will have heard of, and private companies as well. Our guest's career is a testament to the power of authentic leadership and a deep commitment to creating inclusive spaces. Today we're going to hear 3 life lessons learned from navigating, I think it's fair to say, pretty complex organisational landscapes, championing equity and building bridges across diverse communities. Welcome, Dana James Edwards.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled to have you as a guest. This is brilliant. So I think, the first thing that I'm going to ask you is, can you tell us what you're doing now and tell us a little bit about your route to get there, please?
So at the moment, I am head of fairness, inclusion and respect. What a mouthful.
That is great, though. That's a great title.
Sustainability and the Supply Chain School. So in the construction industry, Action Sustainability is a leader in terms of fairness, inclusion and respect. We do work to make the industry better and stronger all around. And at the forefront of that work is me. At the moment,
Brilliant.
Supported by my amazing team. So that's my current role. And it took a long time to get here, Rob. I'm not going to lie to you. I've had a very squiggly career. So I'm Trinidadian originally, and I came and joined a graduate scheme. I'm going to be transparent with watchers and listeners, because that was how you got a visa, a work permit in those days, right? So I came, I joined. I've done IT audit, I've done software testing, and loads of other technology-based skills and projects. And while I was doing that work, I became consumed with why I could not see myself reflected in the organization I was working for, and got pretty loud about it. And then transitioned to a career that was a blend of learning and development and inclusion work, and never went back. So I don't know if you would go to school to be a DEI professional. I certainly didn't, but it's where I landed, and really happy here. I then left that organization, joined another, and decided that I wanted to work for myself, because there's something about seeing inclusion from one organization's lens, but I wanted to see it from lots of different lenses. So I did freelance work for ages and ages until COVID hit, and then I was grounded. So I went from traveling all over the world to having to stay put, and found it really difficult, and decided to go back into mainstream work so I would have a team and people around me, and better mental health and well-being. And it started off with me doing 2 days a week in an organization and 3 days of consulting, then 3 days a week in an organization and 2 days of consulting, then 4 days a week in an organization and 1 day of consulting. I've been being reeled in, and I am in my current role full time.
Oh, wow. Very good. Well, you must have been doing something right for them just to want more and more of you.
More and more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. And I love that word squiggly. So many people that I talk to in 3 life lessons, their careers are squiggly, in learning and development, this kind of area.
It takes some time to figure out what you want to do and who you want to be as well. And you may not know that right away. So I had that issue when it was time for me to go to university. I just could not pick a thing. And that was because I couldn't see the future and I didn't know what I wanted to do. But my mother, she insisted. She said, you must go to university. It was not a negotiable thing. And then she said, well, pick something like management or whatever, and then you could go do a whole bunch of things, but you will study something.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah, very good. Well, I think that squiggliness of careers means that we tend to have really interesting people in our industry, interesting and diverse backgrounds and diverse interests as well. So very good. Well, what's the first life lesson that you'd like to share with our audience?
The first life lesson is that a day is 24 hours. And I mean this in a good way. And also in the other way, right? When you're not having such a good day. So a day is 24 hours. If you are having an amazing day, you better be present in that day. Put everything into it, because at the end of the 24 hours, that day is over. It's now a new day. So whatever you're experiencing, like, be really into that thing if it's a good day. If it's not a good day, hey, it's still only 24 hours. You get a reset button. So if things aren't going great, you have to keep saying to yourself, it's 24 hours. A new day starts again tomorrow. So a lesson for if things are great, to be really, really present and focused in on the moment. But also a lesson that when things are tough, you're only hours away from something that's potentially completely new.
Yeah, I love that. You've kind of sneaked two lessons into one there. I think one is being present. I noticed that. Well, one is being present in the moment, which is I wish I could do that more. I work on that myself. And the other one was I watched the Gone Fishing. I don't know if you've ever watched any of those with
No.
the two American comedians. It's literally just them fishing. They're older gentlemen, and it's them just talking and chatting, and it's just kind of gentle, and it's just about wildlife and nature. And they talk about their careers and the ups and downs of them. And they say something that really helped them was saying to themselves repeatedly, in the good times and the bad times, even this shall pass.
Yes.
It's all just temporary. It might be you're riding high, everybody says you're amazing, and that's great, but that's not necessarily you and all of you, and that shall pass. And when things are going pretty tough and they're hard, again, even this shall pass. And that idea that, we start again, we refresh, the sun comes up again, it's a new dawn. I love that.
It wasn't two for anyone listening or watching.
Okay.
That was one.
It was one. Okay. I'm going to have to watch these next ones like a hawk, I think, just in case.
Okay, number two?
So what's number two?
Number two is don't argue with people on the internet. Especially strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
But this is a thing that I really had to learn for my well-being and peace. I just want you to consider that a stranger on the internet does not know you. They don't know you. And they will most likely have people in their lives giving them opposite views who they respect, admire, potentially love more than you, because they don't know you. And if they aren't listening to those people, what makes you think that you are going to be the person who is going to drop that knowledge that will change them forever? You're probably not. So I'm not saying never speak up. You probably do want to speak up and interject. But when things are starting to get fiery and they're coming back at you with things that you know are not facts, are things that are alternative facts, and it's starting to go down a path, you are not required to engage with that person for all infinity. You really need to think about, is what you're doing really making a difference? And is it feeling good for you? And do you think it's the best way to bring about change? And it might not just be for strangers. Sometimes there are people in our families, I'm using family as an example because this is particularly relevant for me, who hold different views, and you want to challenge those views. Yeah. Thinking about how you do that is really important. So for me, when I let go of the need to fight all of the things, what I started doing is instead sharing really, really positive things about the particular group where I'm trying to change hearts and minds. And I found that to be more successful than going in there, which stresses you out and doesn't always work. It's a thing that I've learned. So I will always use my voice to speak up. But then I think about where my limit is and how much of a thing I really want to be doing for my own peace.
I think that's a great one. I mean, I'm sort of, I think most people know, I think it's fair to say I despise social media. Think I despise it. And I know this is a podcast which is going out on social media because that is what you have to do. If you're in business and you need to be, So this, stuff goes out on social media, but I engage with it the absolute minimum that I possibly can do, because I don't just want to be another element in somebody's business model. That's all it is. And we're being careful not to go too much into politics, but the Russians are incredibly good at weaponizing information technology and social technology, and using that to bring down their enemies, like the US, and they're trying this across Europe. They'll be redoubling their efforts now. So an awful lot of what people get back in their echo chambers and the things that are pushed to them are actually, it's not just other people who are having thoughts about it. It's a targeted attack by other countries. And unfortunately, once people are swamped with this information, I mean, this is the kind of the trick to, if you want to take control of a population. Once they just don't know what is true and what is not, then they just stop listening. They throw up their hands and just ignore it. And that's when it can get, well, we're seeing this at the moment, aren't we? We're witnessing that the other side of the Atlantic. But yeah, I just find social media, and you mentioned about with family, I think when you're discussing something in person with somebody, you'll disagree about stuff, and you can be quite heated about that, and that's absolutely fine, because in that same conversation, you'll usually find lots of things that are in common with that person. And you find that kind of middle ground. Whereas on the internet and on social media, it just ends up being a shouting match. People walking in a door, shouting at somebody, and then walking off.
And then walking away, right?
Yeah, and it's no good for anybody. So I try to. That's why I do 3 life lessons, because it's a way that I can engage. I'm talking to people that I find really interesting, and I'm learning stuff that I find really interesting, and I'm sharing that, and it's helping the people that I'm talking to, and it's helping the listeners and the viewers, and it's helping me as well. And that's how I find that I can deal with it, and I don't get into those shouting matches. I've watched people in the industry that I know really well and that I greatly respect and really like, having these kind of spats on social media, and if they were stood together, it wouldn't go down like that,
If someone was a contact and we were disagreeing, I would message them privately, and I would say something like, listen, you posted a thing and I found that really interesting, didn't quite gel with me, but I want to talk about it. Maybe we can have a coffee. Like but a stranger, you have to really assess there where you think this is going. If your objective really is to win and change hearts and minds, then it's important to consider all options and ways that you're doing that. And yes, there are some times that we speak out because we're trying to signal our support, or we're trying to show where we are really publicly. But for me, there's a difference between that and being 20 comments in, still battling a war that is affecting you, that you're most likely not going to win.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad there are people that will do that for the right reasons, though. I'm glad, and I do know people. There's people in our family and friends that they do take that fight, and they step up to it, and they try to reason with these people, and they get 20, 30 comments deep with them, and wow, you've got to be resilient to do that. I'm glad there are people that can.
I'm glad there are people who can, but for me and my mental health, my own mental, I found myself taking it with me, into my day. There are people who can very easily decompartmentalize. If you aren't, and if it's bombarding you, I think it's okay to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You have to, you have to. So that brings us to our third and our final life lesson. What would you like to share?
Well, now I'm editing it in my mind so that it isn't two.
No, you can have two. That's because they're really interesting. These are great. It's fine.
What I want to say to people is there is not a way, and there is not a plan, not one way, not one plan. And I'm saying this because I grew up in a culture where there were certain things that you're expected to do. At a certain age, you get married, and then you have children, and then there are very set ways for things. And I think where I really came into my own as a person and as a professional is the moment where I realized, who said that? Who said that it has to be that way? And actually, it doesn't have to be that way. The way is the way that makes you happiest. You are ultimately the person who has to live your life, right?
Yeah.
So the things, the boxes that you're supposed to tick, throw those out the window, throw them out, and do the things that legitimately will make you happy. So I got married late in my culture. It was a perfectly acceptable time. And then it took us maybe 10 years to have kids. We traveled the world. We focused on our careers. We did things that were fulfilling and important. And then we had a family. And that was the right time for us. For those who are listening, there might be a completely different timeline. But whatever that is for you, it is yours. And if you are happy within it, forget what other people are saying. They really don't think about you that much. Forget about the boxes that you have to tick. Like, forget all of that. It is, are you happy? Are you content? And even if you haven't ticked those boxes, sod it. Doesn't matter. You're happy. And that is what really is important. Live it on your terms. Do it on your terms, on your schedule, the way that you think is best for you. And as much as you can, forget about societal timelines, family timelines, what the media is telling you, and focus on what makes you feel good and right and happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Own your journey. You know, as far as we know, we get one go on this crazy, weird, roundabout ride thing of life. And it took me quite a long time to realise that. I think I was 27, around about 27, 28, when I finally realised, like, oh, so I make decisions and I can shape things in my life. It doesn't just sort of happen like this. Oh, another thing's happened now, another thing's happened, you know. And suddenly realising that you can actually be purposeful about the things that you do, and you can have, I mean, it sounds stupid, but, you know, it never really occurred to me to have goals. And I think maybe it's like when you're younger, you're kind of, perhaps you are a bit more in the moment and you're kind of taking things as they come. But, you know, I don't spend a lot of time like writing goals down or putting together plans for them or whatever. But it's all in my head, and I think about these things, and I think about where I want to get to. And, you know, I believe in that, this sort of, people talk about the law of attraction as this kind of mystical thing. Like if you envision something, then you will manifest it. And I think it's just down to your brain. You're demonstrating to your brain, this thing is important to me.
Yes.
And then all of those micro decisions that are made without you even thinking will then guide you towards that thing. And you will take those steps, and the journey that you will take to get there is your journey. If you're able to say, no, I'm not going to do what's expected because that's not right for me. I think that path over there looks much more interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what a fantastic life lesson.
And also, like in my context of growing up, I cannot tell you how many times I heard, well, what will this person think about it? Or what will this person say about it? And when you finally get to that point where you're like, I don't care. What do I think about it? What do I say? Like, this is my car that I'm driving. Like, what's most important is not what that person thinks. It's what I think. And I think there's power in that as well.
Yeah, very, very much so. Taking control of your steps and doing what's right for you. Well, I mean, those were 4 wonderful life lessons there. I mean, they're just what I hope they would be. They're kind of they're fun and they're practical, but they're also very deep, and some of them are very serious as well. I think we can all take a huge amount from those. So thank you, Dana, for being such a fantastic welcome. 3 Life Lessons guest. If you've enjoyed learning those 3 life lessons, then make sure that you like, subscribe and follow so that you never miss an episode.